Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is David. I'm here with a very, very special guest. Someone who I've wanted to do a video with for a long time. And he's a little bit shy. But guys, you're going to help him to become less shy. So guys, without further ado, who are you?
Hello everyone, my name is Simba. I'm a cloud solution architect at Microsoft, but more importantly, I am a friend of David's. Started university together and luckily finished university together as well.
So, I feel like you've said a lot of things there, but just from the beginning, what is a cloud solution? I feel like it's a really heavy term.
Yeah, it's a broad term. I think of it as more of a, not a job, but more of a profession. Cloud solution architect.
It's not a job, but a profession. I thought those are two synonyms.
Yeah, so it's a little bit different, right? A job can be, a set job description, you know what you're doing in that specific job.
Yeah.
Whereas a profession is more of, there's a lot more different, items that come into becoming a cloud solution architect.
Yeah.
There are different types of cloud solution architects. I work as an infrastructure cloud solution architect.
Okay.
Which basically means I work with the infrastructure in the cloud, right? Okay. So the idea of the cloud, and if a customer wants to come and host an application or something on the cloud, they need some infrastructure, they need some backbone of the cloud.
And that's what you provide.
Exactly. So that's what I sort of create solutions for. That's cloud solution architect.
Okay. So you map out different solutions depending on the problem at hand.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Simply put, more complex, but that's.
Thanks for filling us in. So very broadly, we'll be speaking about three main issues today. So the first would be technology, so in particular cloud computing. So if you've ever been looking to get into this field, this will be a video that I hope you get something from, or if not, you then share it with someone who you believe would also benefit from this information as well. The second thing that we'll also be covering later on in this video, and if you're an international student, especially in the UK, I'll say pretty much stick around for it, because Simba will be sharing some of his really insightful experience from his time at Coventry University. He's an international student, or he was, so I'm trying to see and pick out his brains on how his experience was like. How does the whole sponsorship stuff work? Anyone that's in the UK knows now that the Tory party is hell-bent on putting out really bad policies, in my humble opinion. So we're going to try and tackle some of those things.
No politics.
No politics involved. And then very, very lastly, at the very end, depending on how comfortable Simba is, it's going to give us a little bit of a more insight into his role. So he works at Microsoft, as he stated, and he's just going to speak to us about how he found the role, how his experience has been, and any advice for any student or anyone who will be looking at maybe applying to Microsoft.
Yeah, cool. I can try and give, sure.
Cool. So let's start with cloud computing. So I feel like the first question to ask would be, what is the cloud? Yeah. Is it like a group of computers somewhere? Is it just a group of computers in the sea? What exactly is it? Because everyone will be like, okay, cool, my stuff is stored in the cloud. Is it actually stored in the cloud?
So, as you said, right, it's a bunch of computers everywhere. If you think of your computer, your laptop, or anything else that you can think of, it's a group of those things that are sort of bunched together to create services, right? So the cloud, the way I like to explain it is, it's just a number of computers that are just hosted in one place, in one big building, and there are a lot of customers who come and use.
So it's in a physical building.
Yeah. So cloud is not something in the cloud. They actually.
So why is it called the cloud then?
I don't know actually. I think it's called the cloud because for you as the end user, you don't necessarily see the computer, right? If you're using your phone, you use your phone to put things in the cloud. So in your idea, you're just posting it somewhere.
Yeah.
It goes through the air, and then it goes to your cloud provider, and it's stored there. Okay. So I guess that's where the word cloud came from, but it's not a cloud.
I see. Thanks for that clarification.
And there are some data centers. So places where there are a lot of computers, and one place is called a data center.
Okay.
There actually are some data centers that are under the sea.
Really?
Yeah, it's a fun fact. There are
So we're right.
there are some data centers that are actually located under the sea. There are a lot of experiments happening because, of course, large computers need a lot of cooling and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So the water's cold, put it in the sea.
But I imagine like the cost of running these data centers might also be quite a lot as well. Because I remember when Elon joined Twitter, the first thing he did was like to try and shut down one of their main data centers.
Yeah. It's very expensive, and that's where you've got Microsoft with the Azure, and then you've got
Is that like a data center?
Yes.
Okay.
So Azure is the cloud services, right? You've got your data. We've got numerous data centers. I think there are about 60 something data centers in the world, if not more. Actually, I think 120. And each of these data centers have the same capabilities. They're just connected together.
Okay.
So that's what the cloud is, right? So Microsoft have got a bunch of theirs. Amazon, they've got AWS, they've got their own. They've got Google, they've got, I think it's called GCPs. They've got their own. So that's why those people are in business, because it's so expensive to run it as a company, right? So if you start a company and you've got your own data center, you're managing all of it. You're making sure that things are up to date. But if you think about a place like Amazon, Microsoft, Google, they've got the ability to update these things at a better cost. So it's sort of much cheaper to then put your stuff in the cloud from Azure, from Google, from AWS, because it's cheaper for you in the long run, really.
Yeah.
So yeah, you don't have those managing costs for data centers if you'd like.
Okay, I see. And I presume you guys also take away like the complexity, so we don't actually have to do much of the work most of that. So if let's say for instance I'm a small business owner and I have like one of your services, for instance, would I have the opportunity to maybe let's say I have 50 customers initially, and all of a sudden one of my TikToks goes viral. I didn't have 200,000 subscribers or 200,000 visitors. Would I be able to scale up?
Yeah. So that's the biggest thing about cloud, scalability, right? If you've got your own cloud, your own data center, you're inhibited with the amount of stuff that you have in that data center, right? So if you don't have enough compute power, then you don't sort of have a lot of leeway, right? If there's an increase. But if you move it to Azure, for example, you've got scalability.
Okay.
If you reach a certain target or you reach a certain limit, you can easily scale it out, right? Very easily with the click of a button, which is much faster than you then going to buy equipment, coming back to put it in and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot of scalability and flexibility. You can scale up, but you can also scale down. Okay. Which is
quite easy as well.
Yeah, just click of a button, really.
Cool. So now my next two questions on the same topic. The first one would be AI. So obviously lots of people know or must have heard about ChatGPT.
Yeah.
The script we're using for this video was from ChatGPT. So I just want to understand, so where is AI, artificial intelligence, in the whole picture when it comes to cloud computing?
So AI, if you like to think about artificial intelligence, it's really a large model, right? So it's a model that's trained. If we talk about model, we just talk about a lot of different data points, data sets that are put together, and it creates a large learning model. What AI is just it uses that to make decisions or to give you answers to things.
How secure is that?
It's very secure because, first of all, it doesn't take any sort of personal information. Okay. Right? Secondly, it's stored in very secure data centers, very secure compute areas. Anyway, it's not like you can walk in and just plug in and get that stuff. It's pretty much, if you look at the security that's in a data center, it's more complex than some states, their presidency. That's how big it is. For example, if you go to Ireland, the Microsoft data center, right? There's actually a ridge for tanks, an anti-tank ridge in the entrance that makes sure that even if someone was to try and drive a tank into the data center, they wouldn't go in, they would get stuck in the ridge, right? So there's a lot more security in there. So yeah, back to AI. It's just a lot of data where a program, an algorithm is trained on the data, and then it sort of learns. For example, the easiest one is if you think about a cat, right? You can train a model to identify a cat in a picture. But to do that, you have to feed it so many pictures of cats and so many pictures of not cats for it to learn.
And learn exactly. Make the distinction.
Exactly. And then it sort of starts weighing out, is this a cat, is this not? Every time it gets something right, it's sort of given a reward, if you like. Every time it gets it wrong, it's given like a minus points.
Okay.
So it learns from that. So when you then have that model, when it comes to you, and you're using it to say, I want to see a cat, what it does is it looks at the picture and then goes to that back history of, okay, when I saw this, I knew it was a cat. If I saw this, I knew it wasn't a cat. So it's sort of just learning and predicting. It's almost like a guessing game. I don't want to say.
I was going to say like it's a little bit of like a mother and a child, whereby if a child's been stubborn, then the mother would scold the child. But if the child is doing well, then the mother would encourage it.
Exactly. I like to think of it as a dog.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. Like if a dog does the right thing, you give it a treat. But if you don't, you don't give it a treat, right? And that's what AI is really. It's ChatGPT is it's just a part of AI. We call it generative AI, where the algorithm that's trained on the data is also trained to be able to talk like a human, give you responses like a human. So it's able to sort of articulate its ideas.
Yeah.
It's on the exact same model that any other AI is on, but it gets these ideas and then it's sort of able to articulate it a little bit better, like a human being is talking.
I feel like at first glance it looks ledger, but I feel like it's when you then start going into like the nitty-gritties, that's where you see the discrepancies.
A great example of that is if you go to ChatGPT now and you ask it something very recent. It's like recent news. Of course, yes, now there's been announcements of plugins and stuff which allows you to sort of get the latest information. But there's some information that if you just go to just bare metal ChatGPT and you ask it a certain question, it'll tell you that it's been trained till, I think it's September 2017, something like that. Yeah. So anything after that, it can't give you as factual.
Okay, so there's like a cutoff.
Yeah, okay. So they get all the information, they put it in one bundle, they train it with that. And that's just sort of how it works. Don't know if you want to go through to deep stuff, but there's now Bing Chat and there's
the Google Baum.
But there's Google, I think it's called Google Bard.
Yeah.
But those are now based on, they look at their models, but they also look through the internet as well, and they train themselves. Okay. So as much as it looks through its model and also looks through the internet to find the most relevant information, and if that information is correct, it then retrains its own model. It's pretty complex stuff. But
I feel like as you said, it's really complex, but at the same time, I feel like it opens up a little bit of a can of worms. Yeah. And I feel like at the end of the day, at the moment, human beings are the smartest organisms on planet Earth. But what happens when you feed millions and millions of data points to a generative AI, whereby it becomes smarter than you? How do we protect ourselves? Can we protect ourselves? How are we sure like we haven't even been attacked or already?
I wouldn't worry about it yet, right? To start off with,
let's
give it a couple years. Let's give it, in our generation, let's not worry about it just yet, because I think we're at a point where we're still able to dictate what it learns about us, right? Okay. There are a lot of people in all these companies who are.
But how do we do that? Because at the moment, because initially, from my understanding, OpenAI, which is like the founders of ChatGPT, they were NGOs, they were not for profit, but right now they're not closed source.
And everyone wants money.
So how do you
so
control that?
A lot of people are putting security boundaries on this, right? And quite recently there was a convention in Rome where a lot of business leaders came in and they signed an accord in terms of AI. So governing AI and doing something called about responsible AI. Right? Okay. How do we govern AI to make sure that it's not used for the wrong thing? If you go right now and you ask Bing something that, or ChatGPT or whichever type of conversational AI you want to talk to, ask it to do something illegal, or
Yeah.
something B. At first, it will refuse. Right?
Yeah.
It'll give you an answer, or it'll give you whatever that says I can't do that. It's on my regulations. Of course, if you dig deeper and you try and find ways around it,
Yeah.
you might eventually get there. But a lot of people are trying to close those gaps,
Yeah.
right, to make sure that it's safe to that extent. It's not yet clever enough to go and search for itself and learn by itself. But the point that
How are we sure?
I think because you have to input stuff, right? You have to ask it a question. For example, ChatGPT is pretty safe because it's trained on a model,
Yeah.
right? And that model is not changing.
Okay.
What's scary is when you think about things like Bing Chat and you think about Bard and stuff, which are connected to the internet,
Yeah.
where they learn from what they found in the internet.
Yeah.
Right. Now, the thought or the hope, we're hoping that all the security that's been put in there is sort of ensuring that if it learns something that's wrong, it's able to detect and say no. Right?
Okay.
And it's sort of able to create like a boundary and make sure that it doesn't sort of then churn out that information.
Okay.
So not
Okay.
yet. Let's not worry about it before we need to.
So guys, okay, let's now end on a happy note now. So how do you encourage us to like make the most of this new emerging technologies? So AI, cloud computing.
Yeah.
I see myself as a prompt engineer,
Yeah.
which is because I take my time to refine my ChatGPT prompt. But I'm sure that is just a little bit, it's a little puzzle, the jigsaw.
Yeah. With ChatGPT, with anything when it comes to AI, just be very descriptive and detailed in what you're looking for, right? As you said, prompt engineering is something that you need to sort of get very quickly. You need to be able to ask the language or the bot specific things, and it'll give you more accurate information. But to get more into it, there's a lot of stuff out there. There's LinkedIn Learning, there's courses out there, but I'd say just get stuck into it. If you're techie and you really want to be in there and you want to work with the actual stuff, right? You get free subscriptions for Amazon Web Services, you get free subscriptions for Microsoft, you get GCP, they're all free. Go in there, play around, right?
It'll probably be like a sandbox that you can
Exactly.
go in and you can-
It's a sandbox, and you've got a limit for like $150 or something like that. You're not going to use that much. You're just gonna go play around in there. Go have fun. Go see. Go make mistakes, right? If you're going to go try something that's new, right? The worst thing that you could do is break your own subscription, and you can just start a new one, right? So go in there, have fun. I've played around with a lot of it as well. It's good fun. It's not exactly my job role on a daily basis, but I love playing around with it. So it's intriguing. Just don't let this wave pass you.
Yeah. Make sure you catch on.
Yeah.
Make sure you catch on.
Thank you.
So guys, so that was the first cloud computing.
Put a little bit of my chin.